COMEX gold deliveries have exploded by over 800% this May, and the month isn't even over yet. But this isn't regular buying or business as usual. No, this is deep pocket, centralized demand. Demand we were told was being driven by tariffs, but now the scale, the consistency, the silence is telling us that something much bigger is in the works, something that will impact all of us, because the last time that this happened was never. So who is behind these massive gold and silver grabs, and what do they know that we don't? What exactly are they preparing for, and how will it impact you? And most importantly, how can you use this information to protect yourself before it's too late? Let's get into it. COMEX gold deliveries have gone through the roof this May, soaring by over 800% year over year, with 24,500 notices so far this month compared to a total 2,750 notices in May of 2024. Now, most people think of the COMEX as a place for trading gold, not holding gold, but this is because at its core, it is a paper market designed primarily for speculation, not for physical delivery, which is why what's happening right now is so strange. For years, on average, fewer than 1% of total contracts actually resulted in delivery of the precious metal. Most of the time, these futures contracts are settled financially, meaning digital or on paper, without any precious metal ever changing hands. Which makes sense if you know their secret, which I'll let you in on. Most of the gold and silver in their system, it's not real. It's paper, it's made up, it's rehypothecated, meaning that there is some gold and silver, yes, of course, but it's 1 ounce of gold pledged to multiple people. 1 bar, 100 claims or more. Who knows the sheer scope and scale of this operation, which is fine in theory as long as no one demands physical delivery. But what happens if delivery demand goes through the roof, like what we're seeing right now? And suddenly there's not enough gold and silver to meet that demand. That's when the illusion cracks, which almost happened in 2020 when the world shut down and everyone woke up and realized, if I don't hold it, I don't own it. And of course, physical delivery demand went through the roof. Now, they were able to deliver, so crisis was averted, thankfully, or not, depending on who you ask. I say that because there are many of us who would have loved for that illusion to be shattered, but that's aside from the point. The point is that back in 2020, there was a worldwide shutdown. What is happening today to drive even larger deliveries? Something different is happening, and they're not telling us what it is. The mainstream media narrative has been that it's all because of tariffs. People are afraid of tariffs, and they're trying to front run any extra costs that might be associated with physical gold and silver, which has never checked out to anyone who's been following this closely. This narrative started earlier this year when there was a run on physical gold at the LBMA, supposedly one of the largest holders of gold in London, when suddenly wait times for delivery went from a few days to a few months, which confirms what we have been saying for years, that there is actually less gold than they would have you believe, meaning the value of gold is much higher than the artificially suppressed spot price of gold and silver, which has been suppressed by the paper market, meaning that they would do anything with their narrative to help cover this up and keep the illusion in place. Tell me your thoughts about all this. What do you think in the comments below? Do you think that it is the elites, the highest institutions that are behind this? If so, why? I'm going to share my thoughts with you in just a second, but before I do, one other point I want to make is transparency is huge for me. If you've been watching me for a while or you're new here, you understand that I always make sure that I do my research and that everything I say is factually correct. So if you're wondering, wait a second, isn't it the seller who decides if delivery happens, not the buyer? Are we just twisting something to fit our narrative? While the answer is true that it is the seller who decides on delivery, it's the buyer who traditionally initiates this by holding their contracts into the delivery window. So yes, there is massive amounts of buyers demanding delivery. And while technically the seller could decline the delivery request, it's kind of like not honoring a gift card at a store. If you issue that gift card and someone comes in and says, I'm ready to buy or pay with this gift card, and you say no, you lose your credibility. That is exactly what would happen if the sellers refuse to deliver their precious metals, which would trigger a massive run on gold and silver. But enough about the technicalities. Let's get to what you're here for, who is buying and why. Now, each COMEX futures contract represents 100 troy ounces. And given the spot price, we could say then safely that each contract is worth over $300,000. That's just one of these contracts. We know so far in the month of May that there have been over 24,500 contracts. At that rate, we are looking at over $8 billion worth of gold deliveries that have occurred just in the month of May so far. But that's just gold. Almost 15,000 silver contracts have also been delivered, breaking a new record, a record that was just set in March. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is a trend that started earlier this year, and it is showing no signs of slowing. This isn't a one-off. This isn't just because of tariffs, and these aren't mom and pop buyers. This is deep pocket, big institutional money. All of the evidence points to three key groups of buyers. The first being central banks who try to be sneaky, but they have been buying gold at record rates, the most in modern history, something that is only going to accelerate as a move away from U.S. Treasuries continues to accelerate and global tensions continue to build. Number two, sovereign wealth funds and state-backed institutions. We don't really have those as much here in the United States, but other nations, picture Russia or China, have these banks that operate in the shadows, but they have government-sized pockets and control. They might be acting on behalf of their foreign nation to help accumulate gold and silver positions. And number three, arguably the smallest, would be mega banks, who of course are positioning themselves as well. With Basel III and international regulations moving gold to the center, everyone is getting in a position for the future. But if you're thinking, okay, wait a second, aren't those three buyers the same buyers that have always been there? That would be incorrect. This time is different. Again, remember, COMEX has never been about physical delivery. So in the past, deliveries were typically smaller institutions, maybe bullion banks, but sovereign funds, central banks, this is a massive shift, unlike anything we have ever seen before. This is not a short-term bet by these institutions. This is long-term positioning. They're taking delivery now because they're not sure it will be available later. But to be crystal clear, there is no ledger. If you're asking, where can I go see the buyers? There is no public ledger. But again, the clues that we can see from the size of the purchases and the movements themselves, the vault movements. Earlier this year, when I mentioned the LBMA transferring gold to Wall Street, a 70% inventory jump, that is institutional buying. But you have to ask yourself, if it is the institutions that built this system that are constantly selling us the fiat lie and a speculative market, if they're the ones that are stockpiling gold, what do they know that we don't? They can't come out and say buy gold because that would cause fear and they would lose profit in the short term. They need to make sure that they are in positions of power before everyday Americans go out and protect themselves. That is what they are doing right now. It's obvious with the debt mountain that we've built, with the dollar's power eroding, they are looking into the future. They see the end game, where it is clear that not paper assets, but real physical gold and silver will be the answer to the new financial system. Maybe an official revaluation, maybe as collateral when fiat collapses. We don't know exactly what it will look like, but we do know that it will be physical gold and silver at the center of the system, because mark my words, they're not doing this for fun. They're not doing this for speculation. They are doing this for preparation. Don't be the one holding a piece of paper, a paper promise, when you could be holding real physical money instead, money that has no counterparty risk, that's not based on empty promises. The concept is so simple once you see it, but so many people don't understand because they were never taught it, they were never exposed it by design. But once you see the vision and you understand what's happening to your money today, your paper, and what you could have, physical gold and silver, to protect your wealth moving forward, the answer becomes clear. This is your signal, not a headline, not a market crash, but that those in the positions of power, those who understand that a reset is happening, those are the ones who are preparing with physical gold, and that you should too. If you don't already have a strategy in place, it is time to get one now. Make sure you have your insurance policy. Don't wait until the building's already on fire. The smoke is here. Get your insurance policy in place today. And what I mean by that is a strategy with gold and silver at the center of it. You can start right now by downloading our free ITM Gold and Silver Guide that has a ton of amazing information on how to protect yourself with gold and silver by scanning the QR code or clicking the download link in the description. But that is only the first step. To really take action to protect yourself, you need to make sure that you have a strategy in place. Even if you think you have one and you want a second opinion, talk to one of our expert analysts. They have decades of experience. And I'm not just saying this. I work so closely with them. They understand this inside and out. And they help people day in and day out, just like you, get prepared for what's coming next. So call us at the number below or click the link in the description and set up a time that works best for you. Don't wait for the rest of the world to wake up. Do it now, and you will be so glad you did when you have the peace of mind that you are protected. And while you're doing that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate you. I'm Taylor Kenny with ITM Trading, your trusted source for all things gold, silver, and lifelong wealth protection. Until next time.